Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
A very tough team at home, a tough team, tough crowd, and they had a close loss to LSU, I think 10-point game, and then a 3-point game to Pitt at home. So, they've not played as well on the road, but they've been tough at home.
It's been a tiring season. To come back and finally realize you got 3 home games left starting this week in Florida, you say, wow, what happened earlier in the year? And, playing in Charlotte, and then you had the LSU. Yeah, it doesn't even seem like we've been here.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, talking Tuesday from downtown Columbia, where the sun actually shined today. In fact, it shined over most of the state, cleared up in the upstate. When I went up there, I took sunshine with me to the upstate today, got through the fog on the way up to Clemson. Sun came out, and everybody had a good time. A lot of jokes, a lot of giggles around the Clemson press conference today. Tigers feeling pretty loose, pretty confident, pretty happy about where they are. Meantime, I think South Carolina's just happy to be back inside Williams-Brice Stadium. New keys to get in. They've been gone away for so long.
There's one office that's been emptied out since the last time they played at Williams-Brice Stadium.
Is it completely empty?
I was pretty close last I heard. The head ball coach pretty much has his stuff moved out. He will not be in attendance this weekend, as we all know. But Sean Elliott, I'll tell you, he's really kind of embraced whatever role he's going to have long-term is unknown, but he is not looking back right now in terms of the way he's handling his team, and he's got a big smile on his face. He's excited. There's a lot of enthusiasm for a program that is this in flux. They really are playing motion. You would know that this is a team that's 3-6 that has no idea who its head coach is going to be, but these players, the ones that were in there today, Mike Matulis even said this, they know that they are playing for Sean Elliott's future at South Carolina, and he said that really motivates them, that they want the job full-time, that the players in that locker room are playing for Sean Elliott.
And, well, they should. He is very close to them. He speaks their language. I think he
English.
But I mean, he speaks the locker room language with them. He speaks the language of today's football player. So it seems. He's of that age where he relates well with those players, and I think that's a benefit to him. Is that going to be enough to persuade Ray Tanner and the powers that be to hire him? Ray may take an even closer look if he hasn't looked closely already at this point, especially if the Gamecocks do something here down the stretch and beat either Florida or Clemson, assuming they can beat the Citadel in between. I think you do have to look at the way Sean Elliott has handled things and held things together and made this team in his 3 games as interim coach. He's got a W, and he's got 2 close losses on the road.
Here's a question, and I know it doesn't pertain to Ray Tanner, but how much does ESPN and SEC do in here? Ray, get a name, coach. Ray, get a name.
Well, I would hope that Ray Tanner's a big enough man that he can make his own decision.
Thank you.
That's what I would think.
Thank you.
The new rankings for the college football playoff will come out tonight, a little bit after 7. Back in a moment. All right, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, South Carolina's most popular nightly sports talk show from downtown Columbia, 800-956-7266. It ain't bragging if you can back it up. On Twitter at SportsTalkSC, and our email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Website is sportstalksc.com, and on Facebook it is Sports Talk Radio Network. Talking Tuesday, that means we'll hear from Sweeney and Elliott, and we'll also hear from Chip Weil later tonight. A little NASCAR talk later in the program, recruiting update as well for you tonight here on Sports Talk. But right now we can take your phone calls. 800-956-7266 is the number. 800-956-7266 is the number. Feel free to dial us up and join in if you have something you want to say, something you want to share with us tonight. Sports Talk is presented by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork powered by soy. Up at Clemson today, well, the scoreboard is still turned on from Saturday. They never turned off the scoreboard with their win over Florida State. The score is still on the scoreboard, and the big screen of winning the Atlantic Division Championship, the big screen is full of that, so they're still celebrating their division title up at Clemson. As far as the team is concerned, Dabo said that they'll try to approach this game like every other game, even though Syracuse has lost 6 in a row. But Syracuse, their 3 wins have come at home, and they have played some teams tough at home. He expects them to be a tough football team. They do not know who the quarterback for Syracuse will be, and Syracuse is not going to say who their quarterback is going to be. They're going to, in fact, they put the quarterbacks off limit to the media today so that no one will talk about who the quarterback might be. Not that it will make a difference. The line has climbed to 27.5 as of this afternoon.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot of points.
As far as injuries, McLeod is a no-go, and Crowder is a no-go. They are getting the wide receiver Thompson back for this game, coming off an injury.
Well, you know, it's interesting about Syracuse. Syracuse, usually the team that visits has more team speed than they have, and they let them play on a fast track. So Clemson is going to be technically faster.
Well, they've got more athletes.
I would lay that 27 points.
Yeah, I might do that too. I would think this would be now. You know, Clemson has not covered these big spreads they've had. Recently did not cover against Florida State. That was a 12-point spread.
That's a pretty big spread in a game like that.
Didn't cover the previous week.
Yeah, they did. They covered against NC State. That was
Are you sure?
That was a 10.5-point spread. They covered it.
Go back and look at that. I thought that I took the
points. They did, and they covered against Miami.
I wouldn't.
They covered against Georgia Tech.
So
do you want to go ahead and Georgia Tech?
Yeah. I got the division title in my back pocket. I know I'm going to be in the championship game. Get an early lead. Empty the bench. Rest my players for what we think will be a championship run.
Well, yeah, you do have to think about bigger things though, and you have a committee that's still picking guys. I know Clemson's number 1, but if it gets goofy and other teams start winning and Clemson's eking by against Syracuse, which I don't think will happen, but style points still count in the current setup. I think it would take, if Clemson goes unbeaten, there's no way that they fall from 1 to 5. That just isn't going to happen. Even if they win in triple overtime Saturday, it probably won't matter. Triple overtime against Wake Forest and quadruple overtime against South Carolina and 5 overtimes against North Carolina in the ACC championship. I still think Clemson doesn't fall any further than 2nd or 3rd in the top 4, but style points do matter.
Well, style points do matter, but I believe even though he leaves the room, having a guy that's your AD on the committee trumps style points in some instances.
D-Rad's staring through the window outside the door with his ice cream cone.
Yeah.
Looking at guys as they make their picks. Condi, how's it going? I got an ice cream cone for you.
What about South Carolina? Any news out of their presser today?
From an injury standpoint, it doesn't look like Dante Stallworth will be back this week. Defensive lineman is still nursing an injury. Same with Al Harris Jr., who separated his shoulder, and he's kind of on the iffy list, but everybody else they think should be ready. Walton is listed as a fullback and a linebacker this week, and the wrinkles will continue, according to Sean Elliott, with his offense. They're going to continue to play with the offense and open things up defensively. He's encouraging them to just play faster and stop thinking and go to the ball. Don't worry about if he's going to hand it off. You know your assignment and just do it. And he said that's what they focused on against Tennessee. And I will say the result, watching them play, they did look like they were flying to the ball. I mean, they still have problems, but they were flying to the ball, gang tackling. They tackled better in space than I've seen them in previous weeks. It's just a shame for South Carolina that they're playing 2 out of the next 3 against teams that have already won their divisions. Citadel's actually won their conference. So everybody they're playing for the rest of the season is a division or a conference champ. If they could play Kentucky now or Missouri now, I think South Carolina at home.
Oh, you'd love to play Missouri this week.
Yeah. Well, yeah, really. Yeah. Half their team.
Clemson did not cover against Louisville.
No.
They won by 3. Did not cover against Notre Dame. Won
Nope.
by 2. They did cover Georgia Tech.
Yes.
Won by 17. Did cover Miami. Did cover NC State. Did not cover last week. So, it's sort of a mixed bag of whether they cover or not. 27.5. I think I would lay that.
I'll lay it.
Syracuse.
I think they'll cover this week
If they get off to their quick start and do what they normally do. All right. Let me mention a couple of quick things. 800-956-7266 is the phone number. And on the job search, a couple of stories out about other vacancies. According to Football Scoop, Mario Cristobal, former Miami player and assistant, now at Alabama, is the top man for the job at Miami. That is what they are reporting at Football Scoop. And Virginia Tech, according to Gridiron Nation, I believe it is, Memphis coach Justin Fuente apparently has caught the eyes of the folks at Virginia Tech. Also a legitimate candidate, according to this report, is SMU's Chad Morris. All right. Meantime, South Carolina, it still looks like Herman or Smart. And I'm still going to throw Elliott in there, too, because he's still actively on the job. He still can be seen by Ray Tanner anytime. Anytime Ray wants to interview Sean Elliott, all he's got to do is –
what does he have to do, though? I mean, because they're playing hard, and he's done a heck of a job, and I don't think he's going to have a hard time finding a job after this season. I just think it's going to be difficult for that job to be the head coach at the University of South Carolina. But what does he have to do to have a legitimate shot? Did he have to win the next 3? You have to beat the Citadel.
I think if he were to win the next 3, you'd
have to hire him. You have to. The way they played against Texas A&M and Tennessee, but that is that's not going to happen.
That gets you to a bowl game.
But is that what he has to do?
No.
What does he have to do?
I think winning 2 of the next 3, counting the Citadel, and maybe this game, that may be enough. You win 1 game, and that being Clemson, that may be enough. But I think it's more off the field. I think he has to sit down and rate, look, this is who I can get for a defensive coordinator. This is who I can get so and so. He has to show that he can put a staff together.
Why wouldn't you keep John Hoke as defensive coordinator? Just change some of the people beneath him and do a better job evaluating talent, or maybe wait for some of these younger defensive players just to grow up.
I don't know. I mean, it's a small sample size, and how much of the defensive problems you put on John Hoke, I agree it's personnel. But at the same time, whoever the coach is going to be, you kind of have to turn the page a little bit and make some changes, and they have to get some new guys in there. You can't just say, all right, everything's the same. Spurrier's gone. We're going to keep everybody the same, and Travell Wharton's going to be the O-line coach now, and off we go. I think they need to reassign some things. Obviously, Steve Spurrier Jr. is not going to be back next year. There's guys that aren't going to be back at South Carolina, regardless of who the coach is. Most all of them might be gone. Every single one of those guys might be gone.
If you looked at it, you broke it down by performance, you'd have to say Deke Adams should be replaced because the defensive front has been awful. But Kurt Bodkin, the linebackers have been the strength of the defense. You'd have to say the linebackers have played well. Do you reward him by bringing him back? And then
a special team.
And John Hoke's been Joe Robinson and John Hoke has been coaching the secondary. They haven't been all that swift. So does he replace himself there? I mean, it depends on if you just want to make sweeping changes or just judge it by the individual performances. All right, 2 your calls in a moment. All right, to your phone calls on this Talking Tuesday. We'll hear from the coaches coming up down to Charleston. And Charles, you're up first here on Sports Talk tonight. Welcome in. How are you?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Terrific. Good to have you.
Good. Hey, my only thing is this. Remember when Carolina was beating Clemson like 5 years in a row, and we thought things were terrific?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know for me it's kind of hard to let go, but I know I'll have to. But what the heck? You got Clemson ranked number 1 in the country. You got Deshaun Watson on cover of Sports Illustrated, and here's Carolina just trying to figure out who the next coach is going to be. I mean,
well, I'll give you the nutshell version from me. As far as Clemson is concerned, of course, they recruited extremely well. They matured as a group. I remember Dabo saying a year or two ago, give this team a little bit of time to mature and come together, and you're going to have a really good team. It starts with a great quarterback who got his start last year, took a few lumps along the way, but they gradually brought him along, except for the injuries that set him back. It was continuous growth for him. And then, this year being healthy, knowing the offense inside and out, and being surrounded with excellent talent at the skill positions, it's a perfect mix for them. And then, of course, they have maintained a terrific defense. The possibility of the defense dropping off existed after last season because they were so good. Hasn't happened at all. If anything, they're practically just as good. South Carolina. Wait a minute, let me finish now. South Carolina found itself in a position of terrible need at the quarterback spot. Connor Shaw turned out to be a great quarterback in their offense. Thompson had a great individual year. The team did not, because the defense fell apart last year, and then they had nobody ready to truly step in and be a high-level quarterback after Dylan Thompson left. So, they've tried to get by the best way they could. It didn't help that Connor Mitch got hurt. Whether or not he would have stayed the starting quarterback is up for speculation, but the fact that he got hurt set them back even further. And so they've sort of been wandering for a while at quarterback and trying to sort things out there. All the while, the defense, whether it's talent or it's coaching or it's scheme, it could be a little bit of they've got better talent on defense than they're playing. I mean, I look at these guys, and they're good players. They were good players in high school. They were Shrine Bowlers. They were All-Americans. They were this, that, and the other. And I'm a little bit flabbergasted over the fact that they continue to struggle on defense.
You put your finger on it when the coach said that we asked them to just play. There's too much thinking going on. I tell you, those changes in defense cost you. The other key point is this: when you had a once-in-a-decade talent like Jadeveon Clowney, a lot of offensive coordinators tore pages out of their playbook because they weren't going to be able to pull them off with this clown in the backfield all the time. Suddenly those pages are back in the book because he's no longer there.
Yeah, still you should be better prepared, and they should be playing better on defense. With their talent is not that poor on defense. Be right back. right, we're back. It is Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, 800-956-7266 is the phone number. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Let's continue with your phone calls. We'll hear from the coaches coming up in a little bit. We got time for more of your calls right now. Love to hear, too, from all the new folks we've been talking to here of late, folks calling in from all parts of the state. Appreciate that. We go to Kershaw and Shane. Is that right? Shane, welcome into Sports Talk. How are you?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Mm-hmm.
I called the week of the Notre Dame game and listened to all the experts from ESPN. They said that if Notre Dame won it, I'm a Clemson fan, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
If Notre Dame, of course, they was in, and if Clemson lost, they was out. Well, Notre Dame lost, and we won, right?
Correct.
All right, now my question is, they got one more good game, being Stanford, and if we lose one more, we're going to be out. They're probably going to be in. I want y'all's comment on why should they be in, and we're going to be out, even though we beat them. And I'm going to hang up and listen to y'all's call. Thanks, guys.
Comment is Notre Dame.
Well, first of all, again, you're dealing with people's opinions. You know, if I remember the argument put up by some about the playoff was to eliminate all of this sort of controversial
Nobody ever
discussion.
said that. Nobody ever said that. Nobody's ever said that.
I remember that in my memory.
Why would
banks.
anybody say that?
My memory banks are very good.
No.
Very.
Apparently memory banks are about like you're driving.
I do remember that people right around here were talking about
red light corn, red light.
Having a playoff will end all the controversy. We'll have a playoff. We'll get the top 4 teams in the country. Everybody will agree, and everyone will be happy. But anyway, to get back to your question, the problem is that you still have the human element involved here, and opinions, et cetera, and losing late for some reason. Losing late is more of a penalty than losing early.
Yes,
which was always the case with the old system as well.
So that's right. So nothing has changed. Thank you very much.
Actually, it has changed. There are 4 teams.
I rest my case.
There are 4 teams in instead of 2. That's changed.
So you just have more controversy. You have controversy.
No, you have more teams, more games.
Listen, I'm acknowledging that the playoff is fine. It hasn't upset the regular season.
Much better.
It's all good, but it did not eliminate the controversy as you said it would.
No, I didn't. I never said that.
You said it would eliminate
between
the team
1 and 2
getting screwed.
Yes,
and team getting left out who's supposed to be in there. That's what you said.
That's not what I said.
Over and over again, you made that argument. I just sit here and listen to that and say no.
It's worked exactly the way it should.
Why can't you open your mind and come around? I'm agreeing. The playoff is fine. I like it. Let's go to 18.
But I never said there wouldn't be controversy or discussion.
Off number 9 or number 10.
But I never.
You did. You said.
No, I didn't. I never said.
Find the audio
there is no way anybody with the brain. Well, first of all,
your brain might have been on hold.
There is no. You said I said it repeatedly, which I did. There is no way anybody would say there's not going to be any. That'd be like saying there's no controversy with the NCAA basketball selection. No, what I said is there's never a controversy over who the number 1 team is at the end of the day. Last year there was a controversy about the number 5 team.
The number 5
there was
team
no
left out. Some might believe could have been.
There was no controversy over who the number 1 team was. Everybody, no one said Ohio State.
There were times in the BCS era there was no controversy over who the number 1 team was either. You had a winner at the end of the day of the BCS, and everybody agreed that
there
was the
will
best team in the
not. But
country.
when you have a 4-team playoff, there will not be that kind of controversy. There'll be a controversy over the number 5 team that should have been in as a number 4 every year. Every year, there's going to be that debate, and then you should have that discussion. That's what makes it good. But there will not be a debate over the team that wins 2 games. Ohio State was a number 4 seed.
What if Oklahoma State doesn't get in, and they're undefeated?
They'll moan and groan, but they'll probably get
of course, they're going to play Baylor. They're going to play Baylor,
exactly.
And if they beat Baylor, they'll have a chance to get in. What if the caller, as the caller points out, what if Clemson loses
to Syracuse
or somebody, and Notre Dame gets in, and Clemson?
Because not all losses are created equal. There's a difference between losing to the number 1 ranked team in the country and an unranked Wake Forest or Syracuse team.
My point was now is that the human element was still going to play a major factor. Your argument was that reduced.
It is
playoff.
It is reduced.
No, it's not. The human element is still a major factor.
No, there was no human element before. It was
whether it was
number
a computer. 3 under the BCS or number 5 under the playoff.
Would you rather argue
over a raw deal?
No, because the number 3 team doesn't get to play 1 game for a championship. So you could argue that 3 team could have been the champion. Nobody last year, Ohio State was a number 14, the most controversial team to get in. But at the end of that playoff, did anybody say, that team wasn't any good? No, they didn't.
Well,
No,
they lost.
They motorboated.
They lost to Virginia Tech, but again, it points to the fact that they lost
Early.
early. But here's the key. I thought we already had a playoff before the playoff, and I'll tell you why. Pac-12 championship game, SEC championship game, ACC championship game, Big Ten championship game. The only championship teams that didn't have a championship game was the Big 12 because they only have 10 teams. But now they got smart and backloaded their schedule.
Right.
So all the top games are where? At the end of the season.
And go figure, the regular season has not lost any meaning.
I said
when
that.
Alabama,
I said that.
That's just it. I mean, this playoff will expand probably in the next decade to have 6 to 8 teams, and it'll be better. But for anybody to pretend that this isn't anything but great for college football, that this we're only in year 2, that it has not been a massive improvement to letting a computer pick the top teams and having now every week we get to have this debate. Who are the top 4 teams? And it has enhanced the regular season, not detracted from it.
Back to the phones we go. 800. I see where Kobe's going to sit out tonight, by the way.
Yes.
He needs to rest.
He's resting.
Let's let the youngsters lose a game.
That's what happens when you're 45. Alan in North Augusta, welcome into Sports Talk tonight. How are you?
I'm good. How are y'all?
We're good so far.
I'd like to give a shout out to my good friend Sandra Green in North Augusta. She's a big Clemson Tiger fan, and she's been fired up about the way we've been winning here as of late. So
good,
anyway,
good.
You got to be. I think 4 teams is the absolute limit, though. They keep talking about expanding it and all this and that and the other.
It's inevitable. It's inevitable at some point to
though.
expand.
I know that's the nature of the beast, but like the NCAA tournament, y'all was talking about that in basketball. That's a tournament winner. It doesn't, like Kentucky was the best team last year
in the regular season.
Basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The regular season. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Back,
Well, yeah, but I mean,
are you? So it
the New England Patriots were the best team in the NFL the year the Giants beat them in the Super Bowl. That's not how you crown a champion. I mean, they were just a playoff tournament.
Not when you're trying to make money, K-Mac.
Well, everybody's trying to make money
because then you expand the big. It goes beyond the scope of who should actually be involved in this.
Well, I mean, if it wasn't about making money, we could just stop at the end of the regular season and crown the national champion then and say we're not going to do any postseason stuff. The regular season is the playoff, and at the end of that, this is the best team.
Alan,
So are you wanting the best team, or you want to make money? Is what I'm saying.
I'm wanting
that's where the.
Well, I don't. I mean,
money.
obviously, I don't have a financial profit to be gained, but I'll say this: I do want more meaningful football games. I know what you're saying, but I like the fact I like having a tournament because I get to watch quality football teams play against each other, and I like to have meaningful football games in December and January rather than the Insight.com Bowl featuring 2 6-6 teams. I'd rather have a couple of 11-1 teams going at it and determining it on the field. I think that's better than
Alan. I think the only thing that protects from any expansion is the fact that I think the major conferences do not want any more extension to take luster from their individual championship games, because their individual championship games are like an entrance into that Final Four. And I think it'll take some of the luster off those championship games if you expand to 8.
My biggest concern is that they're expanding, their conferences. I mean, y'all got Missouri in the South, the Eastern Conference, and it's just getting ridiculous,
Well, hopefully they're finished with all that for a while. I don't know what else they can do expansion-wise unless there becomes a movement of teams switching leagues, and hopefully we're not going to have that. I mean, the geography makes no sense, obviously, the way things have worked out in these leagues.
Technically, it does, because
that?
Missouri is connected by Kentucky, Arkansas, and Tennessee. So it does make geographic sense.
Well, you hop in a plane and fly out there and see how connected
but
it
they
is.
are connected, though.
I get you that, but it's still not part of the Southeast. Promise you that. We'll be right back. Back we are, Sports Talk, 800-956-7266 is our phone number. Want more out of your education? Palmetto College offers the quality of a 4-year education online. And to find out more, visit palmettocollege.sc.edu. With Palmetto College, your future has no limits. The high school league today turned down the appeal from Broome High School for entry to the 3A playoffs, so Dreer stays in as that at-large team and will play at Myrtle Beach on Friday night. So we are set to go with the high school football playoffs. 800-956-7266. Former Braves right-hander Tommy Hanson has died of an overdose. He was 29, reportedly suffered catastrophic organ failure as results of the overdose. Last pitched in major leagues in 2013. For the Braves, he was 21-15 with a 3.16 ERA in 2009 and 2010 before having some arm injuries. Then he went 28-20 from 2011 through 2013.
With the California Angels.
That's right. So sorry to hear that news. He was once a very bright star for the Braves. No doubt about it. The Angels, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, they call them. All right, back to the phones we go, and it is Mike and Dylan with us next here on Sports Talk. Hello, Mike.
Hey, Mike, how you doing? I'm here. I'm sorry.
You're Mike.
We're doing fine.
I just got a question here on something I don't understand. I'm not much on it anyway, the rules or anything. But I was looking at the 2A bracket today, high school football.
Yeah.
And I noticed where in the brackets with Dylan, they had Bishop England ranked number 1 and Dylan was ranked number 2.
Yeah.
And I'm not too familiar with the rules, but I didn't understand what it was.
It has to do with the let's see now, the different classes have different rules. Some use a point system and some use the predetermined top 4 in each region. I believe in 2A it's a point system. And so if I'm right about that, then it's simply that Dylan, even though they were undefeated, apparently, playing Latta and playing Lakeview, 1A teams, you don't get as much point value from doing that. Bishop England obviously had greater point value at the end of the regular season.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that much about it. I was just wanting to call in to maybe you could help me understand it.
I'll double check
anyway,
that. I think I'm right on that. If I'm wrong, somebody call in and correct me. Like I said, the classes 4A, 3A, 2A, 1A, they all have different ways. In some use the points and some use the top 4 in each region advance, and then there's at-large teams and all that. I think the 2A uses a point system.
Okay. All right, buddy. Hey,
man, thanks for your phone call. Let's continue with the calls, and it is going to be T in Sumter. Hello, T. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, fellas?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say last week, maybe around, I think it was either Tuesday or Wednesday, right after the first, the college playoff thing, I think one of you guys said, as the standing was, Clemson was number 1, but Bama was number 4. And if I'm not mistaken, I could have swore one of you guys said, asked the question, does Alabama match up with Clemson? Now, first of all, let me say this before I finish my statement, that I'm an diehard Alabama fan, but I'm a diehard college fan, so I'm going to call it spade a spade. But now let me ask you this. I want to flip the script. Do you think Clemson matches up with Alabama? Because, honestly, fellas, if you saw the game, we got the number 1 defense in the country. And as far as hypothetical game, do you think Clemson matches up with Alabama?
It might not be a hypothetical.
Yeah, I'd love to see it, man. I mean, that's
I would give Clemson the edge at quarterback and receiver. I would give that'd be an interesting battle up front because Clemson's offensive line has really played well, but we know how good Alabama's defensive front is.
Yes.
Now, could Clemson's receivers get open against that Alabama secondary?
Yes.
But Watson, with his with his maneuverability, gives him some time against the pressure to do that. Jordan Leggett could be a key because he's very good at getting down the seam and making catches down the field. Clemson's defense against Coker and against Henry, I'd have to say I think they would stand up pretty well against them. They tackle well, they're physical, they fill their run gaps pretty well, and they put pressure on the quarterback. Be a heck of a game. All right, to the recruiting report here on this Tuesday night. First of all, defensive back Miles Dorn of Charlotte among the recruits at Clemson Saturday, unofficially for Florida State. His first game at Death Valley. He'd been to campus for a junior day, but the game day experience was something else. He really enjoyed it, enjoyed the atmosphere. Said he got the full experience. He talked with all the coaches, including Brent Venables, Mike Reed, Danny Pearman, also Dabo Sweeney. And they like him, he said. They were telling him he's a high-character kid. They want him in the program. He also went in the locker room after the game. He's taken officials to West Virginia and NC State, scheduled for officials with North Carolina this weekend and Ohio State, November 21st. Not sure if he'll get back to Clemson for an official at this point. Not naming a favorite. Hopes to make decision in December. Defensive end Jordan Smith, Lithonia, Georgia. A USC commitment since July, but with the Gamecock staff in transition, he is looking around, his coach confirmed. Smith was at Tennessee Saturday when the Vols played the Gamecocks. His coach, Marcus Jelks, said Smith might not stick with his pledge. He said he's not really sure. He's still kind of looking around, graduates in December with the uncertainty about who the guy will be, the next coach. He's looking around to make sure he makes the right decision. Tennessee, Florida, Mississippi State have been in contact with Smith, according to Jelks. He has talked to USC recruiter Lorenzo Ward in the last couple of weeks. Smith has not scheduled an official visit with the Gamecocks at this point. The coach said nobody has really reached out, adding that he thinks Smith will take officials to Tennessee, Florida, and Mississippi State. Gamecocks offered 2017 tight end Alexander Marshall of Andover, Massachusetts. USC offensive line commitment Lloyd Cushenberry from Louisiana is going to visit Mississippi State. I think that's this coming weekend or within the next couple of weekends. Clemson offered 2019 athlete Dominique Blaylock of Marietta, Georgia. USC has also offered him. That's the son of the basketball star Mookie Blaylock. And in baseball, it's a commitment from right-hander Daniel Wilcutt. He's out of James Island. He attends USC Lancaster. And South Carolina gets a commitment. 2018 shortstop Blaze Alexander out of Cape Coral, Florida. There you go with recruiting tonight. Don't forget, check out our recruiting information on the website, sportstalksc.com, and on Twitter, use the hashtag STRecruiting. All right, the next poll from the College Football Committee is coming out. I guess I should say a ranking. My bet is Clemson will be number one. My bet is
Alabama 2.
Alabama 2.
That was going to be my bet.
Ohio State
my
3.
My bet is Baylor 3.
Baylor jumping up to 3.
Mm-hmm. And
Ohio State
my
4.
bet number 4 would be Ohio State. Yeah.
So you mean they love the
Of course, Notre Dame could
Baylor.
slide up in there too. Yeah. All right, we'll be back. Top of the hour break.
Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
All right, we are back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Sean Elliott coming up in just a couple of minutes. The talking heads on ESPN making their projections. All are picking Clemson number one again, except for who was it that picked Ohio State? Joey Galloway?
Joey Galloway is Ohio State grad. And Danny Cannell, whose Florida State team lost to Clemson. He picked Ohio State number one.
Now, here they go with the bottom of the rankings. It's from 25 to 21. Wisconsin, Houston moving up one spot. North Carolina breaks into the 25. Temple and Memphis. That's from 25 to 21 as they begin to release the ranking for this week. They start at 25. They work their way up towards the top four. Wisconsin, Houston, North Carolina, Temple staying the same. And now Navy at 20, UCLA at 19, Northwestern at 18, Mississippi State moves up to 17, and they get Alabama in Starkville.
Yes.
This week. A chance for them.
That's your team. That's your team.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Mississippi State.
Yeah, right.
You're looking pretty good, actually.
Thank you. Thank you, K-Mac.
Better. I mean, you're not looking really good.
No, I'm looking really good.
You're looking better.
Really good. Florida State did not move despite losing by 10 points to Clemson. Why didn't they drop Florida State some? You lose by 10.
But they're on the road.
I don't care. TCU, all right, so TCU fell from 8th to 15th. And they lose and they drop. Michigan's 14, moving up. Michigan State dropped from 7 to 13. Oklahoma moves up to 12, and Florida dropped 1 to 11. Now you beat Vandy at home by a field goal by 2 points. You get penalized.
SEC.
All right, so that's 25 through 11 right there. So we're waiting on they'll give us 10 through 7 next, right? And then they'll do 6, 5. Here we go. 10 through 7 is Utah moving up from 12. LSU drops from 2nd to 9th. Oklahoma State moves up to number 8.
6 spots.
Stanford moves up to number 7. So they're kind of creeping up in there. Now
they've already won their division, I think.
We get to 6 and 5 here coming up in just a moment. And we'll see who's going to be the two knocking on the door, standing on the doorstep, waiting for someone to stumble. Let's see, last week, Baylor was 6, Michigan State was 7, so Michigan State has dropped. Iowa will probably be one of those two. My guess is Iowa and Baylor. Well, Baylor may move into the 4. Who knows? But I think Iowa will be one on the doorstep. Baylor will either be on the doorstep or in the door, and somebody else will drop out to that number 5 spot. So we're going to have to wait and see once they tell us. They've gone back to analyzing right now, and we don't know yet.
Well, you mentioned Iowa, and let's face it, Kirk Ferentz on the hot seat. They let him stay. Look at his team now. You're going to have those lull periods.
You are, and you don't fire a coach?
No.
Oh, okay. That's odd. What's wrong, K-Mac?
I'm just looking at Steve Spurrier just tweeted something.
No, he did not.
About Harry Orth being nominated for the Burlsworth Trophy. Somebody else must be taking over his Twitter feed now. It's getting bizarre.
Okay, Florida Gators. Okay, Florida Gators. SEC. And we can.
Now back to Sports Talk, South Carolina's most listened to sports talk show for more than 30 years.
All right, here you go. Clemson remains number 1 with Alabama number 2, Ohio State number 3, and Notre Dame at number 4. Number 5 is Baylor. Number 6 is Iowa. Clemson, Notre Dame paired in one semifinal. Alabama, Ohio State paired in the other as things stands right now. We'll talk about this coming up in a couple of minutes, but we got to get to our coaches. It is a Talking Tuesday. And tonight we begin with USC coach Sean Elliott, Florida Gators, next up for his Gamecocks.
So than getting off the football and getting up the field. And Florida Gators, it's going to be a tough week. SEC East champs, very well coached football team, great talent, unbelievable defensive personnel, got a good offensive mind, and their new head coach. And I tell you what a turnaround they've had for a great 2015 season. I mean, they've done a great job, motivating those players to come out and play well. And of course, winning the East, they've got to be feeling really good about themselves. And they're certainly not going to overlook South Carolina. They know they've got to finish strong, and we know what a challenge it's going to be for us to take on their football team this week.
Sean, you mentioned Florida's defense. Just what do you guys try to do to try to limit that pass rush? And is it just adding more guys to the line or putting a fullback up there, or what? How do you try to limit those guys?
Oh, you don't get in those types of situations, and certainly you're going to get in a few of them. But you've got to not experiment, but you've got to move the pocket. You've got to do some other protections. Your simple drop back 5 and 6 man protection is not going to be good enough against a talented group of guys that come off the football, can rush the passer like that. So, we've got to be creative. Texas A&M had a good pass rush, and I thought we had a pretty good plan for those guys. I don't think their 2 ends were all that destructive, so to speak. I think we gave up 2 there at the end, but it wasn't because of their pass rushing ability at that time. So moving the pocket, play actions, draws, of course, do a lot of good for that stuff. So we'll have a plan, and we'll be able to hopefully not control it, but somewhat handle that great rush.
After Casey Crosby and Jonathan Walton get in on that kind of heavy package you guys use, what is sort of the process you guys as a staff do in terms of looking down the roster and seeing guys that you might want to, I guess, almost pluck up for bigger roles, like maybe those 2 Hayden Hurst, Kyle Markway types?
I mean, as a coach, you evaluate players, whether they're offensive or defensive. I mean, I evaluate our defensive line when I was the line coach, our linebackers, our secondary, and I said, man, he'll be a great fullback, or he'll be a great tight end, or, this guy might be better suited to this position. Early in the year, I think back in the summer, actually all the way back in the spring, Darius English wasn't a big contributor over there on defense. I said, well, put him at tight end. We got a guy over there that's long and lean, and he's one of the strongest players on the team. Just because he's not generating a strong play over there at this point doesn't mean we can't utilize him over here on the offensive side. So I think that's what you got to do. You've got to try to take your best players and put them in the best position to go out there and be successful. It may be someone different this week. I hope so.
Sean, does it seem like you spent this entire season on the road?
It really does. It's been a tiring season. To come back and finally realize you got 3 home games left starting this week in Florida, you say, wow, what happened earlier in the year? And, playing in Charlotte, and then you had the LSU. It doesn't even seem like we've been here. It's really just been kind of an odd season in that sense. But we're glad to be back at home. So excited. I think in the last couple of weeks we brought a little bit of excitement back to our fan base, or so it seems, and they're hungry to see us play again. I think they're anxious to see us play in Williams-Brice Stadium against a great Florida football team, and I want those guys to be here and be. I mean, I'd love it to be sold out, and I'd love it to be as loud as can be. It's going to be a beautiful Saturday, and I think we all need it.
Sean, how's the health of the team of Harris, Johnson, Stallworth, and Neal? All got kind of banged up last week.
Yeah, we're getting better. Harris is coming around. EJ's coming around. I don't think Stallworth will be back for us this week. He'll probably be out another week. But all in all, our team is just ready to get back and play. A little bit tired. We've had 3 tough weeks. They've played really, really physical football, I think, at practice and in our 2 games. Actually, we conditioned last night and took a little bit of the practice aspect off of it for those guys, and they were appreciative in that matter. But we've got to come out and have a good week, and I think we'll be right for Saturday.
And one more, we've asked you a lot about wrinkles the last couple of weeks. I mean, do you have more of those you can pull out of your hat going forward, or how close are you to maximizing?
We've got wrinkles now. It's like a Matlock equipment wash. Our shirts and stuff come out. We've got wrinkles. I mean, it really is. Nothing against Chris Matlock, but we pull out our shirts and there's wrinkles everywhere all the time, and we always laugh. But we love him to death. But yeah, we're just having fun and trying to create some new ideas. And you call it a wrinkle, I call it an idea, but we're just going to go with it and see where it puts us. Our little wrinkle last week put us in a pretty good situation. We probably should have had, we went for it on 4th down the first time in our package with Walton and Crosby in our 3-back set. And it's so many people, when I stop at a gas station or something, they say, "Oh, that 4th down play, what were you thinking running it up the middle?" I said, "Well, it wasn't supposed to go up the middle. It's supposed to go to John Walton for a touchdown right there if we'd have thrown it." But that didn't happen. But our wrinkles worked out pretty well. We got the touchdown call later on to him, and we'll continue to add some stuff.
Kind of playing off Rick's question, and you've called it special before, but when you're explaining Williams-Brice to people that are from this area, what do you say? What makes Williams-Brice so special in your mind?
The people. The Gamecock fans. That's the number one thing. The fan base creates Williams-Brice, and it has ever since I've grown up coming to football games, through thick and thin, wins and losses. The energy and the passion that these fans have for Carolina football and Carolina athletics in general is what sets us apart. And there's a lot of stadiums across the country. I mean, and you don't want to talk about other fan bases, of course, but we've been in some pretty big stadiums the last few weeks. And these Carolina fans, they know how to do it. They know how to do it right. So we're hoping they're going to do it right Saturday.
How much progress have you seen from Connor Mitch just in terms of his comeback, and do you expect he might contribute at some point before the end of the season?
Well, I certainly expect him to contribute. I don't know where it might be. He's coming along. Anytime you sit out for that length of time, I mean, first of all, physically, strength-wise, conditioning-wise, it takes a toll on you. You actually do nothing until that injury actually heals to get back in the swing of things. But we always have a plan for somebody to contribute. And, his plan is right there as well. Connor's a fine player. He's a good quarterback, and he's going to be able to lead this football team again. It might happen, but he'll be ready. And he's kept his head up and done a great job. And we fully expect him when his number's called to go out there and do it.
Sean, Josh Dobbs had a lot of success on 3rd and long passing downs last week. Just overall the season, what do you think the biggest issue has been with USC's pass rush?
Well, you look at the guys, I think we read the offensive play more so than getting off the football and getting up the field. And, and just saying, hey, I'm getting around the three tech or the right guard or left guard or pressing that 5 technique. You see them the peak in the backfield, looking for the quarterback draw, playing tentative at times. I think they got to let it loose a little bit more. I told Dante out there, I believe the right guard at Tennessee had gotten hurt, and their backup had come into the game. I said, listen, you got to take advantage of this guy. We got to work an edge. We got to work him upfield, underneath, whatever. Dude, you got to scare him to death if you have to. But let's don't try to react off the play. Let's get the pass rush. You know what they're going to do. It's either draw or drop back. So just get up the field and then react.
All right, Sean Elliott from his press conference today at USC, and hoping that his defense will stop reading and stop hanging around and just get after people and get some sacks against Florida. All right, Dabo Swinney coming up here in just a little bit on Sports Talk, presented by South Carolina soybean farmers and their checkoff. Learn more at scsoybeans.org. Pork powered by soy. Something I wanted to mention, I saw in the state paper today, everybody's trying to figure out and offer up opinions as to why South Carolina is in the situation that it's in. The state paper did a story today with a couple of recruiting guys about South Carolina's talent. And I just found it humorous. And, I don't pay any attention to recruiting rankings or put any stock in them. I mean, if a player is good, he's good. It's not because he has a particular ranking given to him by some internet recruiting scout. So they cited the 2012 and 2013 classes, and they cited some of the players in those two classes as being disappointments at South Carolina, as part of the reason why they're short on talent in their opinions. The 2012 USC class, which was ranked 19th by rivals, and the players they cited were Shaq Rowland and Quentin Smith and Mike Davis and Brock Stadnick. And so I went back and just checked, and Rowland and Davis and Stadnick were all 4-star recruits, and Smith was a 3-star recruit.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2013, they cited Griffin and Bryant. Yes, Kelsey Griffin, Bryant, the linebacker, Williams, the running back, Park, the offensive lineman, and Rogers, the offensive lineman. 5 players, all of them 4-star players. So my point is this, and why I find this humorous. They're signing these players as being failures, and part of the reason why South Carolina is struggling. Yet the same analysts who are pointing to South Carolina's lack of talent rated every one of those players except for one a 4-star player. This is by Rivals. Now, in Rivals definitions, a 4-star player is a player ranked between 250 and 300 in America and is an All-American candidate player. So my question is, how can these guys be so wrong? How can the analysts be so wrong in identifying the talent as 4-star talent, and then these players not pan out to be that good in college, at least at this point? For some of them, they still have some time to get better. And so my point is, it's laughable to me how the players that they are identifying as being good players that are being recruited by the coaches, and the fans see, oh, I got a 4-star here, we got a 4-star there. Then they come in, they don't pan out, and the same people that assign them the 4-star label turn around and blame them for not being good enough to win. So my point in all of this is to people, if you're listening, don't get caught up in recruiting rankings. It's a hoax. It's a scam. It's a great way to sell subscriptions to websites, but it is meaningless when it comes to whether or not a football team is going to be outstanding or not.
All you got to do is look at all the vetting that the NFL does, and they still get the draft wrong, a lot of the teams.
Well, Baylor is one of the top 6, and their classes are never ranked high.
Again, really proud of our team.
Keep up with sports news all day on Twitter at SportsTalkSC. Now back to Sports Talk with Korn, K-Mac, and the Pro.
Okay, we are back. Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network. Dabo Sweeney in just a moment. Quick recruiting update. Naquan Jones, a player that South Carolina's been recruiting, defensive tackle out of Evanston, Illinois, has announced a decommitment from Michigan State. And so he's back on the market. And he had told us previously that he is going to take an official visit to South Carolina at some point. He has not scheduled that yet. But Naquan Jones now back out there after decommitting from Michigan State. All right, to Dabo Sweeney. Tigers remain number 1 in the football committee ranking. Playoff committee ranking just out tonight. Of course, their focus right now is the next one. Number 1 for them is Syracuse, getting past the win over Florida State and getting ready for the Orange.
You know, again, really proud of our team for how they competed last weekend in a really hard-fought battle. And, you know, to be 9-0 for only the 3rd time in the history of this school is, you know, really a great accomplishment, you know, for these guys. So for us, it's just back on the road, you know, heading up to Syracuse. This is a trip that I think our guys look forward to. Anytime you get a chance to go to New York, we got a lot of guys that you know, that's one of the neat things about college football is a lot of these guys get a chance to travel around and see different parts of the world or country that they haven't seen. And so we look forward to going up there. It's really a great place to play a ball game. I had never been there until 2 years ago, and it really is a good experience as far as just a place to play a game. And, you know, we know we're going to have to play well. They're 3-2 at home. They're a very tough team at home, tough team, tough crowd. And they had a close loss to LSU. I think 10-point game and then a 3-point game to Pitt at home. So, you know, they've not played as well on the road, but they've been tough at home. So we've got to, you know, just continue to do what we do, put in a great plan, get ourselves mentally and physically ready to go play our best game of the season up there. These guys, there's some question marks on them because they've had some injuries. Not sure which quarterback's going to play right now. But you know, for us, you know, we're just trying to really focus on ourselves and can try to continue to get better because we haven't our best football yet. We're still a team that's improving. It's a huge opportunity for our seniors. You know, if we can find a way to win the game, and they'll have the most ACC wins of any senior group. I think they're going for their 27th ACC win and a chance for a 10th win for our 5th year in a row. So, you know, there's so much on the line for us each and every week. Is a season of its own. It's a story of its own. And so for us, it's just staying dialed in, keeping our lives simple. And the way we do that is keep the structure in place and just keep preparing and doing the things that we've been doing that have allowed us to be successful. So injury-wise, really nothing new to update there other than you know, Ray out this week. But both those guys should you know, recover just fine. Any questions?
What are some of the challenges you're playing at Syracuse? Obviously, you guys haven't been up there a whole lot. So what makes that different than
well, you got to manage the noise up there. It is loud, you know, because it's indoors and they're right on top of you. Everybody's literally right on top of you. So it's similar to NC State in that regard with a roof on it. You know, with everybody's literally. I mean, they can reach out and touch you. It's very close, but it's so that's the biggest thing. And then the team you're playing, they're a prideful bunch at home, especially. And you know, I know they haven't had the type of year that they wanted to have, but they've had a ton of injuries. Number one, but the thing that I'm impressed with when I watch Syracuse is, man, these guys, they play hard. They play tough. They play physical. There is no lack of effort. I mean, they are, and then, you know, they present some challenges offensively. I think that, you know, they have the ability to score. I mean, they went right down the field against Florida State in the opening drive. Been tough for a while. But they have done a lot of different things. And so that presents a challenge because, a lot of times when you look at a team, you can pretty much say, okay, this is their identity. This is what they do. But because of their personnel issues and injuries and things, they have done a whole lot, motions, formation, shifts, spread, swap boots. I mean, they got all kind of stuff that we have to defend. And then different quarterbacks. Number 2, who's guy last week, and he got hurt. I mean, I don't know if he's going to play, but he's a gamer. He's a good player. They throw the ball all over the place. They got really good skill. I think they got 3 great wideouts, and they do a good job of the running game. So you just have to defend a whole lot with these guys. So they play tough at home, and we know that for us, we're going to get everybody's best game. That's just the way it is. So that's why it's important that we continue to try to just prepare and play to the standard that we talk about.
They have a returner who's taken 2 punts to the house, and he also does kick returns. First off, what do you see out of him, and how are you working to keep fixing that?
Yeah, well, he averages almost 19 yards a punt return. He leads our league. He's a really good player. So we got to punt the ball effectively as far as the type of hang time that we want, so we can get our guys down there, and we got to just do what we got to leverage the ball and get him on the ground. But we've done a nice job of that. We haven't had many return issues, but he's a good one. He's a good one. And then number 9 is their all-purpose guy. He's a kick return guy, but he's also receiver. They do a lot of different things with him. He's a good player. Brisley, I think's his name. But so yeah, we'll have to do a good job of containing him.
And begin to get a little concerned about the wide receiver depth, or do you feel like you have it covered?
No, I mean, you're always concerned when you lose good players, but Travion will be back. He was back at practice yesterday, so that's a plus for us. And we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Going back to Deshaun's spike on 3rd down, do you feel that sometimes because of the great start that he had in his first 13 starts, that sometimes people can forget that he's really still a true sophomore and isn't impervious to making a mistake from time to time?
Yeah, I think not just – that play. I mean, he misses a wide open throw, and it's like, oh, my God, what's that? I had a guy on the radio last night ask me, with the slow starts that Deshaun Watson has had, he's had all these slow starts and these receivers early in the game, and as we move on in the season and we get into the championship, that's going to cost us if we miss those early throws. And I'm like, well, first of all, we have scored about every opening drive of the season, just about. I think Boston College and in this game, Florida State, I think that's the only time we hadn't just right down the field. And give them some credit too. But yeah, we missed some. Like I said, we missed layups in that first half. But he's at 70%, right at 70% completion. One thing we haven't done is start slow. We have started fast all year long, and the couple of times that we maybe were a little out of rhythm, we got in rhythm, and I guess if he's just one of those guys that when he makes a bad play, he throws an interception or fumbles the ball or makes a poor throw or spikes the ball on 3rd down. People just, I guess, hold him to a different standard. I don't know, but he's set his own standard, and he gets that. He's not concerned about that. That's one thing about Deshaun. He's got thick skin, and he knows he's very comfortable in who he is, and his expectations for himself and his performance are way higher than what everybody else has for him. So he's really not worried about that.
Hey, that is Dabo Swinney went on to say later on that Brent Venables, in his opinion, is the best defensive coordinator in the country. And when asked about Venables and possible other coaches, he's always excited when members of his staff have a chance to interview for head coaching jobs. Now, he said that's not anything that they're doing right now, that they're still focused on their season. But if Venables gets that opportunity, of course, he'll encourage him to go look at a job that could give him a head coaching opportunity, if that's something Venables is interested in doing. Back in just a moment. All right, welcome back in. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. A reminder that insects and diseases can be moved hundreds of miles in firewood and threaten our forests, favorite campsites, neighborhoods, state and national parks, raceways, and more. Help protect the trees you love by purchasing firewood at or near where you burn it. For more information, visit don'tmovefirewood.org. Well, I doubt any of those insects could do much damage to the old lady in black with all that asphalt and cement. They'd probably lose their teeth trying to gnaw into her. As we welcome in the president of the Lady in Black, Chip Wild, to Sports Talk. How are you, sir?
What's up, Phil? You doing all right, man?
Man, we're hanging in there. All right, good race on Sunday. Nothing chaotic like the previous week, but still some good racing. Jimmy Johnson overtaking the leader there, Keselowski, and it really sets up a lot of drama for this Sunday because, I mean, we've only got one guy right now assured of being in the four at Homestead.
That's right. You know, you got Brad Keselowski looked like he was going to sail to victory at Texas, leading 98% of the laps, and then with 3 to go, lo and behold, here comes Jimmy Johnson, passes him and takes the victory. So that means that there's 3 spots available this weekend in Phoenix to see who lines up racing for the championship in Homestead next week.
Yeah,
I can't believe that we're at the end of the season. It's going to be an exciting weekend in Phoenix.
Oh, no doubt about it. So what kind of racing are you expecting among those 3 or 4, maybe 5 guys who feel like they've got a chance to sneak in there?
Well, you know, guys like Logano and Kurt Busch, they got to win. So they're going to race their guts out and really try to focus on, being aggressive, staying up front all day. But then folks like Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch, they have a little bit of a cushion. They just need to finish in the top 5 or 6. Certainly this has been Kevin Harvick's racetrack over the past 2 or 3 seasons. He just seems to excel here. Him and his team really have a good setup, and I think you'll see more of the same this weekend. But, you can never count out any of the guys in the field. Phoenix has always been a great racetrack that produces great racing. I think you'll see a lot of that this weekend.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about when you talk about the playoffs and the way things can change. I mean, just a few weeks ago, Logano looked unbeatable. And then, we had the incident at Martinsville, and he had his issues last week, and all of a sudden, he's dead last among the 8. And like you said, he's got to get a win to get to the championship round.
Yeah, it's just so hard to keep that kind of momentum for a long period of time in the sport. It's, there's so many factors that go into winning a race. It's not just about having speed, but really having the best pit crew and having a lot of luck. And certainly Joey Logano's had a lot of that this year, and he's a fantastic race car. Like we saw Kyle Busch earlier in the season have a great 5 or 6 race run. It's just really hard to keep that momentum. So I think this weekend will be pivotal for a team to get a little bit of that momentum going into the final race. I think whoever wins this weekend certainly will have a leg up on the competition going into the season finale at Homestead.
So how do you think guys like, assuming they don't win, Kyle Busch, he's next in line after Gordon. Then there's Harvick, a point behind him, and then Truex Jr. is 4 points behind Busch. So those are the ones that are closest to the top behind Gordon. And then you've got Carl Edwards, who is 11 points back of the number 2 guy. So those 2, 3, and 4 guys, I mean, they go for the win, but do you think they also drive somewhat conservatively to hang on to one of those other 3 spots?
Well, remember, whoever wins, I mean, if one of those guys wins, then they're locked in. I don't think anybody at this point in the season can drive conservatively. They know that they got to let it all hang out in order to have an opportunity to race next weekend. And I think that's what you've seen really throughout the chase is folks taking risks to be able to get to that next round. And, to race for the ultimate goal at the beginning of the season, everybody, their ultimate goal is to win a championship. You got to be there. And this weekend is a critical step in getting there. And I think I think Phoenix is a great racetrack regardless, but I think adding this element in with, as the last race before the final is awesome. And the other great thing is they've already announced a sellout. They announced a sellout 3 or 4 weeks ago. So we'll have a ton of fans in the stands, and I'm certain that NASCAR put on a great show.
That sounds like it. We look forward to it, and we'll talk to you next week about it.
All right, buddy. Thanks for having me on. Talk to you soon.
You got it, Chip. Thank you very much, Wild President of Darlington. So, yeah, sold out at Phoenix, and I imagine Homestead will be sold out or pretty close to it. It's going to be pretty dramatic, especially since we know that Jeff Gordon will be one of the 4. And in his last race, I mean, he couldn't draw up a better plan. He couldn't write a movie script any better than this. Jeff Gordon in his last race having a chance to win the championship. That is pretty cool. And we'll be back in a moment. All right, final couple of minutes. We'll squeeze in a call or two here in just a second. It is time for the high school football report, service of Farm Bureau Insurance. With new auto insurance rates from Farm Bureau, you could be saving a whole lot of money. Even if you received a quote before, rates are now more competitive than ever. Get a free quote today from your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. We give you the final high school polls of the season from the high school sports report. And in 4A, it's Fort Dorchester at number 1, followed by Northwestern, Spartanburg, Burns, Lexington, Dutch Fork, Sumter, West Side, Ashley Ridge, and York. In 3A, it's Greer number 1, followed by Hartsville, Seneca, South Point, Hanahan, Hilton Head, Chapin, Myrtle Beach, Belton, Honeypath, and Airport. In 2A, Dillon is number 1, followed by Fairfield Central, Woodruff, Strom Thurmond, Abbeville, Timberland, Newberry, Chesterfield, Pendleton, and Andrews. You know, the question about Dillon being a 2 seed and Bishop England being a 1 seed, Bishop England is 6-4, yet they're a 1 seed in 2A Division 1.
I still don't understand everything that's going on. The Broome Dreer thing, my head was spinning around when I was just trying to understand what was happening there.
And in 1A, it's Bamberg Earhart number 1, followed by Calhoun County, Southside Christian, McVitie, Allendale Fairfax, Christ Church, Lamar Lakeview, Cross, and soon to be crowned 1A Division 1 state champion Latta at number 11. Anybody want to take a little wager on Latta winning the 1A Division 1 state championship with me? Anybody want to take me up on that? K-Mac?
No.
You want to put a little coin in there?
I don't bet on high school football.
Really?
Quickly to the phones we go. A lot of people do. Short Run in Charlotte. Hello, Short Run. What's up, man?
Hello.
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 Oh, okay. You talking about ladder?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they couldn't make it. You know, I ain't dotting nobody. You know, I'm with you all the way. Whatever said there, Mr. Cornblue.
Well, listen, if happen to cross, what's AF? Is AF play? Do they play up or down in 1A?
Yeah, but Bugs. I don't know. I don't know how Jim Baxter shot that thing up. They always got a scheme.
Well, Jim Baxter ain't got nothing to do with the playoff brackets.
You know, I was just hearing him talking, you know.
All right, let me look and see. Hang on a second. Allendale, Fairfax. Yeah, you're in our division. We could meet. We could meet in the state semifinals, my friend. You got to get past Carver's Bay first, and then you got to get past either Hannah Pamplico or Calhoun County. We got to get by St. John's on the road, and then either Bamberg, Earhart, or Hemingway. Probably Bamberg, Earhart.
That's why they don't want AF to come near Bamberg now, because they know we will kill the announcer. We done already did that. That's proven. We done killed the PAT, and they was 10-0 back in the day.
All right, short run. We got to go. We appreciate whatever you said. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow night here on Sports Talk.